I didn't. The only thing I didn't get to was that linked list.
Yeah.
That's definitely going to be something. I think towards the end, here maybe in an hour or so, we can go over that as like a group activity. if y'all want to.
Tackle it head on.
Yeah, because there's like 4 functions to write for that, I think.
Yeah, I didn't get to the first one even. I just kept getting an error that was, I don't even know what the error was saying, but it didn't make any sense and I didn't like it, so.
Oh, gotcha. I definitely thought I was going crazy. I I did a lot of things wrong in some of the exercises, but it's all good. I'm learning.
Absolutely.
Hey, Jay.
Hey,
Let's see.
Jay has a fancy headphone too.
Yeah.
There you go.
yeah, and I got them for free from my employer.
Oh, nice.
They wanted everybody to stop using their phones and use voice over IP, so they gave us free headphones.
Cool.
That's awesome. Let's see. I think Chase is still coming. Took me a second to get all set up. I noticed with these Hangouts, if you do one of the on-air things like what we're doing here, it doesn't let you start it early. You have to wait until right at 7:30 when I scheduled it. So I might start scheduling it at like probably next week in 2 weeks I'll schedule it for 7:25. So if anyone wants to jump in, that'll probably allow us to get started on time a little better.
And chapter 5 is another doozy, so
Yeah,
it'll be a fun one.
Yeah, that's pretty much when it really starts picking up.
I think this one might have been the beginning of the pickup. I think he just took too long to explain what in the heck he was trying to do with this square squirrel nonsense.
Yeah.
And he had his own idea of what happened. Like, it's not a thing that I would think to do, like how to judge it with binaries. And so.
Oh, and the calculating phi that.
Yes.
Or phi. Yeah, that whole thing.
So, it was special. It was a special way to think about the problem. I don't think non-programmer would attack it.
That's why he's got a book published and I don't. So.
This guy right here. You have to come up with the actual content and.
Well, I mean, that's something to consider. You know, we're some really good test subjects that are going over this material. If there's anything that's particularly challenging,
Yeah, you know the good thing I could see about the way he constructed that weird squirrel solution though was, I mean, if you look at the very end, it's like composed of 3 functions.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at the very last line of it, it's It's
a good algorithm. I would not have thought of it.
Yeah, the actual. Yeah, this is cool. Oh yeah, this part. Here we go. Return fizz.
Where are you? Final analysis.
Yeah. Find all the types of units.
No.
Man, it erased all my notes.
Isn't that something? I actually finished a couple things on here. I was pretty proud of myself for. I'll admit it. And then I made an infinite loop, and it just erased everything.
Oh, I did several of those.
So, nice.
Yeah.
That's a warning that should come with the book. If you use the sandbox, it is fragile.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know, Jay, you probably you've been looking at this for a while. Was there? You wanna go?
Yeah, you know.
Talk about this function at all? Some of the things that are going on.
Okay, yeah. I can't really speak to the statistics behind it, the fee and all that, but um, I mean, just kind of taking that for granted. If you look at that, hang on, I got a bunch of dogs barking here.
Oh, no worries. So yeah, it's basically like
Yes,
this isn't a linked list.
Scroll back up to that section before this, where he fills up that table.
Yeah, get table 4.
Yeah, table 4. Yeah, that's when it finally kind of dawned on me of what he was trying to accomplish here, because I keep slipping back and forth between the. Is there any way you can make the text stay up when I'm talking?
Oh yeah, I can. Here we go.
Yeah.
That should do it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's got those little table rows set up where there's four buckets to fill, right?
Right.
And yeah, and he's using those offsets into the index to pick the right one, because it's either a 0 offset or +1, +2, or if it has the event and squirrel, then it's an offset of 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting how he used the index of the array.
Table index by 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. See if I had anything for that. Oh, nah. We can get to that in a second.
So that gives you one table entry, and I think that next section there is just iterates through it for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want to take a look at that data, that's probably good to do. So yeah, we have this journal. So Danielle had just posted this thing about linked list just a second ago. I didn't even get a chance to look at it.
It's just a link to the Wikipedia page.
Oh, okay.
And you know what? I think this goes into what we were talking about last time with the trees or the tries. It's just a different way to look at it.
Yes, it does.
I looked at the conversation, and I was trying to think if I could come up with a real-world example for a linked list, and I couldn't really think of one, but I thought of something similar, like in a file system.
Mm-hmm.
If you fill up one block of storage, then you can have a pointer to the next block. You fill up that block, and then there's a pointer to the next block. So you've got this list of blocks that all point one to another.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same concept.
It's kind of like when they're scattered across the disk.
Oh, right. Yeah, you've got blocks all
one in, and it has a pointer to where the next one's going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think we figured out that the thing that makes you a squirrel is when you don't brush your teeth and you eat peanuts.
Yep.
We hopefully won't be seeing a lot of data in this form. I mean, if you do like an HTTP GET request, JSON will be essentially the same structure. So in that world, you might be getting an object that has a bunch of keys that you need to iterate over.
All this is an array of objects, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's an object of objects. Journal, right?
Well, journal is.
No.
Journal's a big
journal square bracket. Right?
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's an array.
Yeah, because these are similar type of items. I think that was one of the things he kind of indicated, because an array is an object, right? But
Yeah, it's a special kind of an object.
yeah, where we want to store, I think he said similar types of data, or similar. What's the actual phrasing?
You mean data types, or
Well, not
All the elements would be usually would be the
Script didn't
same.
have that restriction?
Like
Oh,
you'd have
yeah,
an
that's
array
what I
of
was
numbers.
asking. I don't know if JavaScript has that restriction or not.
Yeah, I was
Because-
going
I don't
through.
think it does. I think you
Yeah.
could have the elements could be different types if you want.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw where they were like adding a string in one index and they'd add a float in another.
Yeah.
That kind of confused me. I thought, how's that going to work?
Yeah,
well,
especially if you came up with a language like C or Java, where they do all have to be the same type.
Right.
Yeah. JavaScript's got all those rules for type coercion. If it's two different types, then it's going to apply its own rules of what it converts to.
Yeah. It really
Right.
does. It doesn't care.
Yeah, but string plus a number is a string.
Right. It has to be.
Yeah.
To be anything. Yeah. I guess I was just thinking there, like kind of how do arrays and objects differ? Obviously, they have different prototypes and they have different methods that are on those prototypes, and they have slightly different properties.
Okay, if you think about the properties of an array are numbers, right?
Right. Or the keys
And
of an array.
you don't necessarily have
Object,
that in
You
object.
have to have the name of the attribute or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have like serialized indices in arrays that you can do pretty standard kind of transforms and stuff on, but with an object, yeah, it can be anything. A key can't be a number, but it can be any valid variable, right?
Well, I found something here. It said in JavaScript, an object is logically a collection of properties. Each property is either a data property or an accessor property.
What's an accessor property?
That would be like when you access.
Like,
I think they meant accessor methods. What he might have meant.
or probably just a method.
Yeah.
I think the definition we got in here was basically a property that is a function is a method, or a method is another way of referring to a property that is a function. And I like that definition. I tend to use them interchangeably, but I think that's a good one.
A method is a property of an object that happens to be a function, right?
You're right.
Yeah. Or it says a property that refers to a function value.
Mhm.
So, basically.
Do you have those in arrays also? I mean, like you can get the size of the array. Is that a similar method?
Yeah, correct. There's but size would be just how many keys or how many
You can also reverse, or you can do a dot reverse and reverse their array, can't you?
Yeah, we're actually going to make that fun a little bit.
Oh, okay.
We're going to make our own. Yeah, and you can't really reverse. Properties in objects because they don't have indexes, right? Like properties in an object, you don't do.
They don't have an order.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah, so that in operator was pretty cool. That was one of the first times I'd mess with that. For using, you probably see this, like
Yeah.
looking up a key in an object. And then,
Wait, isn't that that's a Boolean operator, right?
yeah, it is. It returns a
Okay.
boolean.
Yeah, interestingly, that's basically the only for loop in Python. So I was surprised
Oh,
that
really?
it's not as common in JavaScript.
Yeah, we will hit one. There's one used somewhere where there's a for in. Then you just have to use the var
Yes, yep.
for the key. Where is it?
Or you can just use a for each loop.
Yeah, but you might have to write like a polyfill for that.
I will be back.
Okay. Can't find it. It's there though. Let's go back up. Yeah. So, yeah, this dot notation versus bracket notation. So it seems like well, one of the things there is you can always use bracket. So if you're unsure if you can use a dot or not, you can always fall back to the bracket. And then this I thought was really interesting, that the engine is expecting whatever's inside of the bracket to resolve before it actually looks anything up. So many animals.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I found two puppies on the side of the road, and I just brought them home with me, and they're really energetic and noisy. But
Recently?
yeah, this is just a couple of days ago. I was coming home, and they were just on the side of the road, just abandoned, and so
Oh wow.
I just brought them home.
Well, that's good that they're barking.
Oh yeah, they're happy and healthy for sure. Beautiful pups. I guess they're mine now.
Congratulations. New dog dad. So yeah, I mean maybe that was actually something I hadn't realized. I hadn't seen that before, that you could pass in an expression here into the brackets.
I agree. There's a lot of things I didn't think about, like that for one. Also, accessing the property with either the dot notation or the bracket notation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just not even sure if
Yeah,
I'm not sure which one I even use.
Yeah, and the brackets are the only way you can get it to evaluate something. Like if you use the dot, it has to be a literal.
The exact, right?
Yeah.
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 Or even you can use the brackets if you have an invalid variable name as the key.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you couldn't say like the property. You couldn't have a property name and call it .1.
Yeah.
That'd be illegal. Yeah.
You also can't do like yeah, exactly. You can't just have .1 here.
Yeah.
Because numbers aren't valid, or leading numbers aren't a valid way to name variables.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have to do.
Interesting little facts. I'm not sure if it'll be useful. I say that it's probably one of the most useful things. Like it's gonna like completely transform the world in 2 years, but until then, it's just trivia, I guess.
Yeah, so we talked about this index of operator a little bit, and arrays and objects both have them, right? But doesn't talk about them being a little bit different.
An object doesn't have an index of method.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's right. But yeah, so you use that in to check.
Yeah, that would be the equivalent. The equivalent ID would be the the in operator.
Right. Okay. Keep going.
I always saw index of as being used when you had like an array of strings, maybe, or was it, or just looking at a string where you're trying to.
Yeah, like right here. So if I wanted to look up the value 3, I could do index of, and it'll give me back 1. 3 here is at the first index, or index 1. Same if I just did
a
11.
string. Yeah, a string has a method that's like that too, but I don't know if it's exactly the same name.
Char@?
I think it may
It'll
be.
give you the same answer as if you had a string and then an array of the same exact characters. It would give you the same answer. So if you had hello, you said index of E. If hello was a string, it would give you 1.
Okay.
If you had an array of HELLO and said index of E, it would give you 1 again. So I think it works technically the same. I'm not sure what's actually going on in there.
Yeah, and then it'll take this optional parameter, right? So I think I can do -1, and it'll start at the. Is that how it works?
Yeah, if it'll go either from the front or from the back.
Yeah, and I think you can give it like a substring too. You could go like index of str, or st if you wanted to.
Right. I thought there was like a way to reverse it to like start at the end.
Yeah. There's a way to make it start at the other end of the string, right?
Okay.
Is that not it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And then what it returns is it would be the index of this.
Well, it'll only pick up the
Empty
first
string.
when it comes across. I think that might be the difference here. So if you do index of S, so look for S instead of a space.
Oh, because
If you
it's
start from
starting
the
out.
front, you'll get a 0, and if you start from the back, you'll get the S that starts string. Because
Oh, I forgot to put S. Oh, what? So what's that? Why
wait,
is it not
what?
returning
All
this?
right, now I'm confused. I don't know what to tell you. What was-
Oh,
That's where I'm going.
When in doubt, docs.
Okay. From index. The index at which to start the searching forward in a string. Oh. Oh, this doesn't have an optional. Okay. It only takes the search value in the from index, it says. It returns -1.
Well,
if
I
value is
guess
not
if you did from -1, you're starting at the end.
Oh, I
Well,
guess.
I think if you had a 0, what is that 0 doing?
That would be like index of 0. So that's the from index, and then that second argument wasn't, or that third argument wasn't doing anything.
Okay. To search from the end, it's last index. It's a different.
Yeah.
It's a different than last index of.
Yep. Yeah. I just saw that. Okay, cool. We'll go compare. Well, we're not really talking about strings too much, but it's good to know that they both have an index of and how they work.
Mm-hmm.
And you could probably rewrite this if you wanted to change the prototype to take another argument and run it in reverse, but probably be super slow.
Yeah. Well, if you wanted to find all the S's, I mean, you could iterate through that. You'd find the first one, and then start the next search from the character just past that.
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you find the first S at index 0, then you want to start S with from an index of 1,
Right.
and then you should find the next S.
Yeah, and just have like an accumulator that has that index. That'd be cool.
Yep.
We could do that. So you're saying
Or I guess a find if you did.
The
Find with
regular
the,
expressions is probably going to give a lot
Yeah.
more elegant way to do that.
right?
Absolutely.
We have like a find all chars that takes a string, and then like the whatever the letter is, right? Is that what we would do? Yo, with me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we'd have something like for
We do var letter in string or var element in string.
and just have that 0.
Oh, whoa! I thought you were gonna do like a loop through every character of the string, and then increment some counter. Wait,
Yeah.
are we trying to find the index of these things, or just count how many is in the string?
I think you're going to have to do like while, while something, I don't know what, but then you're going to have to set up a variable to keep track of of the last index where the letter was found.
To be like a last index.
Yeah.
Inside or outside?
Outside.
Yeah, outside. Var last index equals 0.
And then we.
What is the
No.
purpose of this function again? Like,
To find all the indexes for a given, all the occurrences of a
Okay.
given letter.
oh, so do we even need a last index? Even can we just iterate through every character of the string, and if
Oh,
the
yeah.
character
yeah,
matches?
Right. You could just crank through it and just record the times when it returned.
With like a.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting a map?
Hmm?
Oh, we can't map a string.
You can split the string and then yeah, you can split the string and then map the array.
Yeah. I wonder if the. So
Yeah.
Wait. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I'm attempting to do a crowd pure programming thing here.
All right, so
It's an experiment.
are we trying to store in an array all of the instances that we come across the letter at what index it happens?
Well, yeah, we're gonna have to do that inside of the loop, so that way we're keeping track of our position in the string of where our cursor is.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. I would write this in Ruby because there's there's already
Oh yeah.
there's already an exact function for this. But if this was the case, what I would personally do is loop through the string. So I would say var. So I would use a for loop, so for character in string, and I would say if character equals letter, then push the index. So push onto this new array, the array of indexes. Push onto the array of indexes the index of the character.
Oh, and then you just do array.length of that.
Wait, are you just trying to count the characters?
So are we going with my idea?
To keep track of the indices.
Plus, plus.
That's the thing. You have to decide what problem you're solving first.
Yeah.
Right.
This is kind of doing it the brute force way, because you're saying you're gonna crank through every character and compare it with the letter.
Absolutely.
And then you're gonna record what was the index value when you got that.
Yep.
Right, and push it out to an array or.
Yes.
Or return the index of it.
Yeah.
And if it's not found, what, return a -1?
Jay, what was your idea? Oh, what were you going with?
Yeah, I'll just put this.
Oh, okay.
Let's do this.
Well, if you're just going to crank through every letter in the string, you don't even need the index of function. All you got to do is compare.
Well, yeah. Well, the index of is what we're storing in the desired array.
Oh,
Well, although you
I'm
could
not sure what they
do that
Sorry.
to possibly save you a few steps,
Mm-hmm.
because if you start like at the beginning
Mhm.
of the letter you're looking for, obviously there's no other occurrences between the beginning and where you started, so you could like have sort of a pointer that you're keeping track of, so you could move that pointer to that index, and so that way you wouldn't have to do necessarily a full.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Does that make sense?
yeah,
So-
yeah, exactly. You could do.
My reception is not so good, so like you guys are like pretty, are blipping in and out a lot, so I don't know if I am for you or not, but so that's if you want to use.
Oh, we lost you.
Right as you were saying that. That was good.
We'll sort of-
I just said the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
No! You gotta say it. Yeah, say it. Keep saying it. So we have this idea of like a position in the string where we've counted up to,
Right.
and we have like an accumulator or some kind of value that is updating based on how many times we hit that character that we're searching for. Is that correct?
So you could have like two ints, like one called count and one called pointer or something like that, and update them as need be.
Like that. This is a perfect case for a reduce function, but I don't know if you can do reduce on a string.
Oh, you could always split the string and do reduce on the array.
Yeah.
All about it. You could do filter, but
Yeah.
then you would just have a string of all that one character and get its length. So that's another way you could.
But you're going to have to look at each character of the string,
Yeah.
correct?
Which one do we do? How do you decide?
If we're just trying to. Crap.
Okay, if you
Get
use,
one working first, and then after that we can get fancy.
Okay. Okay, let's do this. This is really good practice, you guys. You don't even know.
if you use index of, you don't have to look at every character, because you could start from the beginning, search for the character, and let's say you found it at the first one was at
Right.
position 5, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to look at characters 0 through 4 because you've already eliminated those, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you would only have to start the next index of from 6 to the end of the string.
I think you might want to do it recursive.
Because if you're going to go that route, it's maybe not the best tool. Maybe a while loop is better. While set I to 0 outside the loop, and then while I is less than string length. Because if you're not going to increment it by the same interval every time, then maybe that's a personal preference. That's
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So.
So this will do something. This at least gives us a count where we're searching through the string on all of its.
You're going to move count out of the loop.
Oh, right. That's a good point. And we're going to return the count at the end.
Yeah, you still need if string I equals letter count plus plus.
Cool.
And we don't need that second if var declaration for count right underneath the for.
Right.
Yeah, you don't need pointer
Thank
either
you.
if you're doing it this way.
We don't? Okay. So how do we store the index then?
Well, I thought we were only returning a count.
Well, if you're just returning the
Oh, that's true. I guess this would work.
Yeah. If you only want the count, then
I mean, if you want to, that's a whole nother. If you want to store the indices, then you would need to initialize an array outside the loop and then push the index. You know, just push I to the array when you have a match.
That's that's probably a better function too.
Yeah, if you go if string I equals letter push, then push I onto the array.
Yeah, whatever your so you can indices or whatever you want to call your array, push I. So.
Yeah. Indices. All right. Indices. Push.
So.
We can do both. You can leave that there.
That's true.
Well, you would need to do both, right? So you need the curly braces because you would need to do both.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I think. We're doing indices.push. Whoops. And then the string.index of I.
Actually, we just need I.
You just need to push I, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh. Right.
Because I is all automatically looping through the array, so you've already got the index when you have your match.
Right. Okay.
Solid.
I think that'll work.
All right, so the brute force method right here. Increase your counter, add to the array the index, and return the count and the index, I guess.
And then we can return an should be able to return an object here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an object with the count and.
And do the if it was
Results.
ES6, we could just do this and it would destructure it automatically, but we got to do it like this.
Actually, this sandbox will run ES6. Fun fact.
Oh.
Yeah. At the end of the for, in the for loop.
Extra semicolon in there after
Yeah.
I++.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we need to call the
We
function.
have to
All right.
call, yeah, we have to call the function. Oh,
I'm like, why the
function else?
Okay, so our signature, we're just gonna give it a string. Say like S. Cool.
Looking for capital S's, lowercase, okay.
So we got a count and
It's schmincy.
and the indexes.
This was actually pretty fun. I mean,
Yeah.
Nice. We're doing it, guys.
what
and
was
ladies.
the other thing that we were talking about with a pointer? I never understood what.
Okay. If we do that, you can change the for loop to a while.
Mhm.
While, make it while I less than or equal to string length.
Okay. And then
You want to initialize I to 0 outside of the loop.
Okay.
But just make it while. Right. You get rid of the semicolon and get rid of the I++. Okay, and then you would need to do
Still gonna
string.
Go ahead.
Okay, where you got I++, blow that away and put string index of.
Oops.
Letter, right? Okay, I guess we need to store that
Will that
somewhere.
go through every time? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And make it I equals string index of letter. No.
Oh,
Inside the loop. Yeah. You guys with me so far on this?
Kind of.
Yeah, I think you're going to go through it in jumps.
Oh, yeah, index of.
How does it? Okay.
Yeah, index of letter.
Yeah, I think I see where you're going with this.
Okay, yeah, and make it I equals string dot index of letter.
Oh, okay.
The only thing you need to be sure of if you do that.
Well, the next time you come through, don't you need to start out at?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if the letter's not there, it's never.
Right. Yeah. So we need to have a test condition at the at the top of the loop probably. So because anytime you don't find.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Okay. What is index
-1, right?
Does it return -1 if it doesn't find it?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If it returns -1, then you break out of the loop, because then you're done.
So
Okay.
right here after the I equals string index of, I would say after that, because you have to assign I to.
Yeah, it's after.
So we're saying if I equals
-1. Yep. And then you could just say something like.
Return false or something.
Now, Jay.
Yeah.
Each time we go, but the next time through the loop, we're still going to be starting at the beginning of string.index of. How can we force it to move up and start from that new point?
Okay, that's what I'm saying. If it does find the letter, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna set I to whatever that index is. Okay, and then the next time you go through the loop, you're going to search starting at I+1.
But how does it know to do that? I think we have to remove the letter, or how does it know to start at I+1 from then on?
Yeah, because as long as we're doing the I equals string dot index of letter, we're starting at the beginner.
Oh, okay. It has to be letter, comma, I. Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You got to tell it where to start.
That's right. That is an optional argument in it. Index.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right. You see.
That's beautiful.
First time through, it's going to start at 0. If it finds the letter, it's going to advance it to to that index. Okay. If it didn't find it, it's going to be -1, so you return false. The next thing you want to do is.
But we don't want to do a return false because eventually we are going to get a -1 if we get to the end of it.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
Yeah, that blows the whole thing up.
Okay, so you would just return.
Well, okay. Actually,
I think you would break out of the loop if you get a -1.
Yep, I would break it too.
Because if the character isn't there at all, then it can just return the empty array because there's nothing in there. But if you're done, then it could, because you've already set in, indices, you've filled it up with whatever's in there. You can go ahead and return that array.
Okay, so I think what we'd have to do is initialize that object, right?
Because it's already been initialized outside the loop. So the worst case, you get an empty array.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So
I do like this.
I don't think we even need that condition for the while because ultimately we're going to get a -1 return. So we want to just force that loop until we get that -1 return.
Yeah, you could just say while I does not equal -1.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then in the if,
we probably won't ever hit that though, because when
you probably won't, because because the return state, but just
makes sense.
Okay, so then instead of returning false, you want to return that object. Return the object with count and indices.
It's never going to get to this line though, or this is never.
Okay, so you can cut that line and just.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm tracking now.
Okay. So once you set I equals string index of letter comma I, then you want to increment I by 1.
Well, before you increment I, you're going to want to go ahead and increment count and push the index over as well. So I would do count plus plus.
Right.
I mean,
Excuse me.
That's left over from the other for loop, like that second if statement.
okay, this is never. Okay, so we're never.
I mean, we're going to reuse it in a second, but it's old news.
Oh.
Take out the actual if statement. We need the middle part of it.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, because we're checking for the letter here. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was confused. I think it's making sense.
Yeah, right. This is fun. Jay, the way your brain works is killing me. Like every single time you say something, I would never think to do it this way.
Okay, so wow.
Okay. I'm
Oh, then we
still.
need I plus plus.
Yeah, but then that's going to mess up the exit condition, though. Because if it does return -1, then that's going to set it to 0.
Go ahead inside the index of do letter, and then I plus 1 right there. That way we don't actually reassign I, but we still always check 1 in front of I. But unless now this is going to cause an issue though.
Well, it's never going to.
If
It's
the
never
very
going to start at
first
0.
character is
Maybe instead of while I is not equal to 1, maybe have the test condition for the while loop be while string index of letter, etc., does not equal -1.
Isn't an index of it doesn't exist a falsy statement?
It will return no.
Well, no, because if the letter isn't in the string at all, then it would return -1, and then the while loop just wouldn't be executed at all. And so you just have the empty array like you would at the beginning. And so you would just skip over the body of the while loop entirely.
Un momento.
Which is good. I mean, we do want to.
Does that make sense? Or
Well, actually, when I get set, if we went into it and didn't have the character, wouldn't I get set to a -1, and then we get the count incremented, and I gets pushed? So, do we want that to happen? And because
so I is going to get to -1 whenever there's whenever there's nothing left.
Okay, well, let's just say that we got a string where it's not going to find it at all. It's going to come in, it's going to test the condition.
Which would be this, yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to be it's going to be true, so it's going to execute the while loop at least once because we're initializing I to 0.
Mm-hmm.
So we know we're going to do that. So then we do our index of, and we don't find the character. I get set to a -1. But even though I set to a -1, we're still going to push I. Is that what we want to do? Is to push a -1 into the indices or into that array?
Yeah.
I guess we could, because then we just check it on the return. If we see a -1 there, then we know it failed or that it didn't find anything.
Yeah, I think so.
But you're always going to get a -1 at some point.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
We're saying this isn't going to work, just incrementing.
Yeah, I got to think about this.
Nope.
Oh, you didn't have a. Oh, I guess you don't need it.
Yeah, I think you're going to need the if condition there to check for that -1, or I can't think of anything better right now. But immediately after you do the index of, I think you're going to have to check to see whether it's a -1 or not.
Okay.
If it's a -1, you know you're done. Period. whether you found any of them or not. You know you're done, and you can return the result. Okay. If it's not a -1, then you know you can push the index value you found, and you can increment the count by 1. So if you had like an if else, if I equals -1, return the count in the indices. If it's not a -1, increment the count by 1 and set I to the index value that you just found, plus 1.
Okay.
I hope that made sense.
If it is -1, so 2 branches.
If it's -1, return the result.
Okay.
Or wouldn't you just want to break out and let the return down here happen?
You could, yeah, you could either way. Because that's the only way out of it, really.
But what am I doing with I?
Well, I is automatically getting set to. It gets set to wherever the value is. We don't want to, or do we need to bump it past that index for the next search? Like if it finds a character at index 4, do we need to increment it by 1 so that the next search starts one place past where we found it?
Yeah, I wonder if we need to set like a previous, current, and next, however you want to.
Do we want to? Does anyone have a working example of this, of what we're kind of talking
Not
about?
yet. I'm working on my own sandbox and getting hung up. But if I get it working, I'll share my screen with you guys.
Okay. I'm kind of thinking we should. I mean, unless we feel like we're, if anyone has a vision of of a compatible version of this, of what we're talking about, we can spend a couple more minutes, but we're only like a half an inch down the page right now.
yeah, we can. Yeah, let's make that a take-home assignment for next time, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's.
Okay.
Sounds fun.
We're almost there, but yeah, there's a lot more stuff in the book, in the chapter.
Yeah, this will be interesting to go back to. Were you going to say something, David?
Oh no. I
wish I could
was eager
copy
to solve it. That's all.
It'd be cool if you.
I'm getting the same errors that you are. It looks like something's going into an infinite loop, is my guess.
Yeah.
But,
I feel like,
yeah.
I mean, one of these conditions just.
Yeah.
Offline.
I think it's because I'm not updating I anywhere, so it's just I is remaining 0, and this condition is remaining true, so it's just.
But the logic of it should work, right? I mean, just the general idea of, you can skip.
Right.
Yeah, I think we were closer, and then.
Till we're missing.
Turn somewhere. Oh, because we're not actually here. We weren't. So I is equal to that index. I guess while it's just the while. Like I've never really written a while loop in practice, so I think yeah, just the logic is throwing me off a little bit. So I'll have to look at it more later.
Count is whenever we want to increment each time through the loop. Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
Yeah, it seems like count.
If we come across the
Yeah,
letter.
if you find the letter, you increment it.
Yeah.
What was the return again? I think I have it. Oh, I'm getting optimistic. It is something. Count.
Did I copy our original one? It's important to remember we did have a
Hey,
working version.
Yeah, it was the brute force.
Yeah.
Worked.
I do. I mean, this. I'm all about elegant solutions.
Oh yeah.
Do we want to take 5 and work on it individually and come back, or keep going?
I think we should
Let-
keep going because we're going to get to the nested list.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion.
Yeah,
That's my take.
Let's move
Yeah,
on.
let's just wait to come back to it. Come back to it next session with the solution.
Okay. Cool. I'm just gonna go right to properties. So, talked about zero base. Feel like we're all.
Yeah, we kind of already talked about properties and methods.
Yeah, we did, and there was one thing in here I thought was pretty interesting about some of the primitives being immutable that I hadn't thought about. Like I hadn't thought about a Boolean value or a string itself being an immutable value.
Yeah, what did it say? The primitive data types.
Yes. Well,
Something like that.
I don't think it used that word, but
Mm.
yeah. Oh, it's a little further down, but it just says the types of values discussed in the earlier chapter, numbers, strings, and booleans are all immutable. So you kind of think like a number is a mutable thing, but really it's not. That variable can be reassigned, but the number itself,
Yeah.
it's just kind of a place in memory or a representation of a
Yeah,
kind of
and-
static thing.
Yeah, well, it's just like he says there. You can't change cat to rat.
Right.
You can assign it to another string that spells rat, but you can't change the original string.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was kind of interesting because I've been looking at quite a bit of stuff on like functional and just trying to wrap my head around this stuff, and so immutability comes up a lot. So it was neat to see like there's examples of it that are already built into the language. And I'm gonna go back up. So, yeah. So the only values that that don't have properties are null or are null and undefined. Can't find a link to the null. Were there any other kind of interesting things about properties that jumped out?
Nope, just I like that. I think I kind of mentioned it before. If you name it a string, then it can be any type of anything. Anything
Yeah.
inside of a string.
Yeah, any valid string. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just can't have an expression, right?
I don't think it says that explicitly, but that makes sense.
Yeah, that seems like one of those ridiculous
Yeah.
examples.
I got a working example of that other thing.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
Yeah,
you want to show it?
yeah. Let me see here. I can just share my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I cheated. I'm using the Firefox thing. So
Oh,
hey,
Google's our friend.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm using the fire. Hang on. How do I share this?
There should be if,
yeah, here
if
it
you
is.
use
Right here. Share, screen share,
screen share.
and I want to do my Firefox browser, which is. I think it's this one, is it? Hang on 1 second. It doesn't. We've got two different browsers open. I think that's the one. I was using Firebug.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I want. Oh, here it is right here. Okay. So now what it's returning right now is it's giving me a count of how many times it found it. Well, I need to print out my end. Well, let's just see. I think I'm missing something here. I went ahead and used the do while loop. so that I force it through, and I call the I equals string.index of letter I. If it gets a -0, I'm going to break out of it, or I'm going to basically stay in this loop until I get a -0, which really is kind of redundant to check here because it's going to find it up here. But if it is a -0, I'll break out. If not, then I push I onto that array. Not sure how you pronounce that. Then I increment I for my next check, and then I increment my count, and then I call the basically go back through and do the string index of, and I'll be picking up at the index of where the last one was found +1. So in a test I just passed it. It should find 5 of these, and I'm not sure about this.
Why the index didn't work out?
Yeah, something I just broke something. Hang on, that was working.
It seems like that while condition is that valid? It seems like there's nothing coming after it.
When it breaks, it should get this return, and it just worked a second ago. What happened? Line 2. Hang on. Oh, there it worked then. Why did that? Oh, wait. I need to be printing. It's printing. Why is it giving me this? Something's not right about the way I'm printing it out, though. I mean, I see that there's 5. Like if I add a couple of small s's to that and run it, I'm getting that. I'm getting it's finding them.
It's I don't think it's showing you all of your object when it prints out the object.
Yeah, it's like it's printing out the.
It's like I don't know if there's a way to force it to. You're probably getting the right answer, and it's just displaying it wrong.
Oh wait, I bet you it's returning 2 different things. It's returning a count and indices. So I need to tell it to say like count equals and plus. Gosh, how's that count even going to appear when it returns it? So I'm getting multiple things returned from that function. I have no idea how to handle those.
Okay, if you're going to do it that way, you could just say return.
See, I want to be able to print out what the. There's got to be a way to access the. It's like a function dot, or it's like there's multiple values there. Where here I'm just. I don't know the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, so you're not getting. That's not a named object that's returning. You're just getting an anonymous object back from that function.
Okay. So is there a way you can name what the function returns up here when you declare it?
Name the parameters?
Yeah.
What? You can set what it's returned to that. Set that to a variable, and then print that, and then just print the variable, which would be an object like you would expect.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So you do like var equals character count, and then console log.
Right before your return statement, you could say that. You could say like var whatever equals that object, and then return whatever that variable name is.
Well, right here it's returning count. It's returning 2 objects here. Count and indices.
The actual function's returning 1 object with 2 keys.
Okay, so how do I access those keys? I guess what I'm saying when I go to print it out up here.
Let's see. Maybe just return a string of count and then interpolate the variable count indices, interpolate the variable indices.
Let me work on that. Figure that out.
Solid.
Yeah,
All right.
I think you got the right answer, David. It's just when it displays that object, it's not showing
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah. So, one thing you could do is, like set.
Oh. Well, one of the things I just read is it says if you're returning more than one value, I just Googled, it makes sense to encapsulate them into a class and then return an object of that class.
Right. So you can do something like this,
Okay, let me get back to it.
and then you could do like var or foo.count here, and it would just give you this.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I don't have a working function anymore, but that should.
Oh. That's a good. Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, I see. So assign a variable. Yeah, because that's going to make foo kind of is going to become.
And
JavaScript's going to be smart enough to make it a class.
Or an object.
Yeah, an object.
Object. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still trying to get used to how JavaScript figures a lot of these things out for you. I'm just like, wait a minute. I'm supposed to somehow come up with a solution. So okay.
Oh no. It just does all that stuff for you pretty much. Okay, so let's get down to methods, and then let's talk about that argument array-like object quickly. Yeah, so pretty much all of the we know that like in JavaScript we have these reserved words, and those reserved words are things within the language which are set aside and have certain properties. Some of those things are objects. So like one object we have is just object. And then I'll have like on that I'll have a prototype that I can change, and then all other objects that I make will inherit those properties from this object. So I can actually I can even overwrite properties of any new object that I make just by changing the properties of the prototype. So almost never do that. Just to everyone. You can do that, and actually I wanted to check if a thing was an array. So there's this isArray, or here it is. There's this isArray property on arrays. On the array, what should we even call this? What
Is it a class or a constructor or a generator or
Class, probably.
class? It's a class in most other languages.
a global object.
Okay.
Construction of arrays. Yeah.
I want to call it a class.
Yeah. It makes sense to call it a class, but even though there's not really any such thing as a class. Oh, Jay's talking, but he's muted. What are you saying, Jay?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just looking at the header up there. It says standard built-in objects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think built-in objects and thinking of all these things as objects, I think helps a lot, because eventually we want to break out into the whole scope of the like window, or the whole scope of the execution environment. Because there's, classes can be helpful, but there's really no such thing as a class in JavaScript.
Class is just an object. Yep.
Yeah. Even if I'm in ES6, that's going to get changed.
But objects can inherit, right?
Mm-hmm. And
In fact, I think that's what he was talking about when if you were to change the object prototype.
Yeah.
Then that's everything else downstream from it will inherit from it.
Yeah, that's what all these are. That's how we get these built-in methods that are added to the language that we don't have to write ourselves.
Yeah, but can you override these? Like if I so if I create an array and then I attach a find function to it, that's my find function. It'll override the one from the prototype.
Absolutely, and thus overriding all of the instances of find on any arrays that occur in your program.
I mean, you could test it out. You could go into like a console and just put find and change it to return 4, just the number 4,
Oh, sure.
Oh wow. So
or
wait,
anything silly
let
like
me
that. We'll
let
see
me
if it
make
works
sure
that way.
I got so if I define two arrays, like array A and array B, and then I define a method on array B that has the same name as something from that I inherited from the prototype, it's going to change it for both arrays.
Yep, for all arrays.
It's going to change. Oh, okay.
Only on B.
Well, that makes sense.
So.
I mean, if it changed it for all arrays, that would be just scary.
I think it'll do
But
all of them.
when you use this prototype keyword, it would change it for all arrays.
Well, yeah, but what I was saying is like not on the prototype, but just on an array, on an instance.
So
Absolutely.
If I have an instance of an array and then I override some method with the same name, it's only going to apply to that one instance.
Absolutely.
it's going to apply to all arrays because they
If you use
all
the prototype.
inherit. Yeah, if you change the prototype.
Okay.
I think that's what you were saying.
I
really gotta hit that home. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you see what I don't know if you see my screen, but that's what I did right here. I just changed the find method of the array of the prototype object on the array global object, and then I made a new array here, and I did test.find, and it returned my new find. So, but I think what you're saying is, had I had another array earlier before I, that would be something to check, because that's doing like a deep equality kind of compare. I want to know if my array.find is the same as this prototype.find, and I think it is. But we'd have to check that.
Yeah, that'd be worth testing out.
So let's see. What's another one? What I can do isArray. Here's another method. IsArray equals function that takes no arguments and it just returns. Broke everything. Look great? Yeah. Okay, so now test dot is. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, well, that's not a good one because this is calling that directly. Let me do another one. Concat. I'll just do concat. So, wait. What do I call that?
I think we're trying to test if at what point does changing a separate instance of an array change. Yeah.
So if I do test.forEach from this array that I made earlier, I would hope that this forEach method is the original forEach from before when I redefined the prototype.
I think it'll give you I broke everything.
I think you might be right.
Oh, okay.
But let's see.
Wow. Yeah.
JavaScript. Yeah, prototypal inheritance. I think we're.
But if you
Uh-huh.
if you were to make another now let's say it a different way. If we were to now give test itself individually a new for each function, so set test for each and set I don't know what you want to make it because you don't feel like writing out the actual for each. Then that would override test alone, and say you had another one test 2, and you tried a for each loop, then you would still get I broke everything. So this is going back to that example from earlier chapter about the rabbits, how we had the killer rabbit and like the sunshine rabbit or something. You can change the properties of an individual thing, and it'll.
Yeah. So, isn't there? Let's see, I think we can do array. Whoa, my bad. Sorry, guys. Array dot from test, and then I'll name this something else, test2. Right?
Oh wow, I've never even done this before.
Okay, so now if I change test dot for each to
It's fixed. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh. Like looking around my microphone, I have the worst setup right now. Sorry. Fixed it. Okay, so now if I do test2, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do I expect my answer to be here? Is it going to be
Very quickly, what
I
does
broke
from
everything.
do? What is the from?
Oh,
method?
that just that creates a new array
Is
from
it
an
a
array-like object or an object, or like a
is it the same? Does it reference the same? Like, does it reference test, or is it just its own? I don't know. Let's just run this little function and figure it out, because
creates a new array from an array-like object or iterable object.
gotcha. Okay, so I think it'll say broke everything.
Okay, so is it going to be broke everything, I fixed it, or
An actual for each.
the actual for each?
Yeah.
Definitely not the number 3, but I think it'll say I broke everything.
Yeah,
I'm
me
pretty-
too.
Same. Let's see. Yep. Okay, so
Okay,
the main
now
point
do it.
is
Now do a test for each.
Yeah, just the normal
Oh.
test.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Test 1, basically. Yeah. Not that.
Yeah, I mean run it.
this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep,
now they have
yep,
their
okay,
own.
Nice.
Does that make sense? What's going on?
Yeah.
So I overwrote tests for each method twice. Once when I was overriding, or once it got overwritten when we changed the prototype, and then we defined a new one here. That's why we get this. So neither test and test2 are both totally broke because we messed with this prototype. So yeah, I think the big takeaway from that is how objects in JavaScript inherit from this global, or from these built-ins, and then how they're just regular objects and with properties that can be overwritten. But this prototype implementation is what's important. And that actually comes from a library. The Prototype.js, wasn't a standard at one point. This is old school.
Oh, yeah.
And they talk about classes, of course. Of course. But yeah, that might be some interesting to look over later. Okay, so
Yeah.
we kind of got off there a little bit, but I think that was good.
Yeah, that was good.
Fun stuff. I think we're right on. Inheritance is a very important thing to talk about with object-oriented programming.
Yeah. But, yeah. And then just writing over, and then the prototype in general. Oops.
We haven't even to the where squirrel yet.
Yeah, I know.
That's fun. We are
It's
less
okay.
than a
I
quarter
don't have
way
to go
down
to
the
sleep
page.
soon. Okay, back to Word School. Did let's see. David probably didn't try any of the where squirrel stuff. Quickly, I mean, the idea is that you want to be able to create a journal. I mean, like the point of it is that we we eventually want to be we want to calculate correlation between two fields, one of them being a true false and one being an array. And then the author goes through several steps of what all is involved in doing that. But it's
I think the takeaway from this is just how to manipulate objects and arrays.
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of an interesting example, but I think the example gets in the way of a little bit of
Yes.
of what we're supposed to be learning here.
Understanding.
Yeah.
Because he's taking, he's starting out with that journal that's an array of objects, and then you make some tables out of that, right?
Yeah. I thought that was really cool, though. The table maker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the little side program, little codelets in this are fun to think of implementing outside of this, but I can't think of a reason to use it. The little table maker was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The phi calculator was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was neat.
Whatever it is.
There's one.
I wouldn't have thought to do it that way.
Oh, yeah, real quick, if y'all are interested, I wanted to try to rewrite one of these. I think it's the has entry. Oh no, it's that. I think it's table 4. Let me check real quick. Yeesh.
A quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
For learning how to best use the Google developer tools, is there any source you recommend?
Google Google. They have good docs on them.
Okay.
I just
I just found Code School had something.
Yeah, I watch a bunch of videos. There's a guy named Paul Irish who works on the dev tools. He's on that team, and Adi Osmani, and they're both really active.
Oh, let's see. So just go into. I just found Chrome Dev Tools. Shows all their stuff here, so I could probably just. Okay.
Where is that function? Okay, real quick, I wanted to redo the add entry function. Because this, let's just skip the where scroll, I guess.
Yeah.
And talk about this arguments object. Because I think this is something that's going to change as far as how often you had to rely on this like arguments.length and what we get now with the REST operator in ES6. So. Where did it go? I'm sorry, guys. Oh, it's a little further down.
What add entry? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like instead of a for loop here, I think that's right. Let me get my footing again. Argument counter. One of the important things about the argument object, I guess, is that it's like an array, but it doesn't have all the methods of an array. That's kind of what he's saying here.
Yeah. So because you can have some variable number of arguments.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I would say.
So how is the REST operator different than this, Dan? What does it do for us?
Yeah. So I don't know why it's calling this. This doesn't even seem like the original implementation. Oh, because I'm adding it to that journal. Okay. So nothing's.
I actually think this is just a poorly written function. Even without the REST operator, you could just say for each argument and arguments, just push it over.
Yeah. Is that it? Where? Boy. Okay. Basically, here I'll just show real quick. I'd taken instead of taking just a squirrel, I was taking two arguments. So you would call add entry, and you would say true or false for the squirrel, and then whatever amount of events. So this, if you use the rest operator here, then any additional arguments that you call, so like here, these additional arguments are all going to get accumulated into an array right here. And then what I could do is I want to create this entry object to push into the journal database. But I want to take each one of these events that come in and push them to this events property on the entry. So instead of doing a for loop, I'm just destructuring this.
So when you do that entry events push, it pushes the entire array. If you use the ...
Yeah, it actually destructs, and how it treats it is a little bit different. So if I get rid of this, I feel like it doesn't have access to this. Oh, so if I console.log, there we go. Okay. Yeah.
That's a weird way to put it. All right.
Does that make sense? I haven't really described it at all, but basically what's happening is the rest operator is saying, okay, your first argument is defined. The rest of them, I don't care what they are, I'm going to accumulate into this events array. And then, so that's the rest. Here...
Why does it have an index on these on the output?
Because that's an array. So it's just logging that array. See here, what happens is if I don't destructure the array, then it just pushes an array into another array. So I get this this really ugly like 2D bracket thing. But with this is no longer called a rest right here. Now it's what's the other name for it? Spread operator. Now it's spreading that array into, it's going to go, okay, index 1, push, and index 2. It basically is breaking it out of that array. So I could even, here I can console log that, and you see it's just returning the values individually.
All right. So in the parameters, it's rest. In just code blocks, it's spread.
Yeah, if you're destructuring, it's a spread. If you're accumulating, it's a rest. Because you're basically saying whatever's left. So this could be like infinite. I could just keep doing, as many arguments as I want, and I don't have to do one of those for loops with an arguments.length.
The rest, like Gilligan's Island.
Yeah. I lost my place now. There it is. Yeah. Boom. Yeah, so these are really cool, and they help make your code a lot shorter. And they're in the browser, so we can use them right now.
Yep.
Additional. Okay, keep going. Yeah, the math object. I'll probably be using this more. They even added some more properties onto the math object. It has like epsilon now, and you can do all the trigonometry stuff with it. And then, yeah, the kind of important thing about maybe what those globals or classes, as we called them earlier, is they give you a namespace, so they kind of protect these functions. So you're free to make another function called square root if you wanted to. That's just a global, and still have access to that math.square root. Yeah, this was in many languages. Whenever you're defining a variable with a name that's already taken, they'll warn you, but JavaScript doesn't do that. With const, if you try to reassign it, it'll tell you, but otherwise, unless you've frozen that object, it'll just write over whatever.
It'll take your word for it unless you make all the mistakes you want to make.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, of course you meant to do that. Of course you meant to write over everything and erase all the data.
Human.
That makes sense. Random is kind of neat. It would probably be a cool tangent at some point to see how different languages implement random. For another day.
Yeah.
And then floor versus ceiling versus round. I think there's something about inclusivity. Like, of course, round is just going to take whatever. If you cut it in half, whichever side you're closer to. Ceiling. I'm not sure how ceiling is different from round up.
Well, ceiling goes to the normally round up. So like the ceiling of 1 point, it's automatically going to go to the next highest integer if you're not already at an integer. So the ceiling of 1 would be 1, but the ceiling of 1.1 would be 2.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah.
Whereas with floor, the floor of 2 is 2, but or like the floor of 1 is 1, but the floor of 1.9 is still 1.
Right. So it's just always it's integer based and
right
abides by those rules.
Right. So ceiling is the next highest integer, and floor is the next lowest integer, and round is just the nearest integer.
Yeah. It'd be cool if we could just check for type int. Sometimes. I don't think there's a way to do that. I mean,
not yet. You might have to write it yourself.
Yeah. Oh, and if you need to do like
the number prototype.
Yeah. There's also if you need to do any
There's
kind of.
There's a way to do what? Someone didn't catch that. What are you trying to do?
Oh, like checked and see if a number isn't.
An integer rather than a float.
Right. Well, can't you do like a type of or?
Well, you can get type of number. It'll return. Well, does it give you float for type of?
You can do an equality comparison, see if the number is equivalent to casting that number to an integer.
It just says number.
Because if you if you cast 2 to an integer, you're still going to get.
Oh right.
You're going to get something. You're going to get 2. That's something. Those are not equal. So.
Wait, I should get into the console before. So you're saying I can do like a 2 int?
Well, kind of. I'm pulling up my own sandbox to make sure I'm not thinking in C here.
Oh, I can do 2 precision or 2 fixed.
What does that mean?
Oh, toFix just returns 1.
Probably rounds it, yeah.
Well, just yeah, I mean, it gave you a string,
Oh, it did.
right?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gross, alright.
And if it's to precision, okay, and then it.
Give you a string of that, okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's that much difference between an integer and a float in JavaScript because there's only one number representation.
Right.
Or I guess another something is an integer if its floor and its ceiling are equal.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good way.
Yeah.
Look who took real analysis.
It's true. What do I? Oh, because it's returning. Cool. These are the same. Okay, so objects in a range which are a specified kind of object provide ways for the group several values into single value. Yeah. It's like putting a bunch of things in a bag so you can run around with that bag instead of trying to wrap our arms around all the individual things. Most values have properties except for null and undefined. You can use dot notation or bracket notation. Brackets will evaluate an expression. The n operator. So we saw n twice. Which is kind of interesting. This this var. This is like a key in an object. Or name an object.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a handy thing.
Yeah. I think it did use it as for one of these. Okay, so does anyone have a range that they want to show? I think mine ended up being pretty similar.
Yeah, mine looks pretty much like what you have.
Yeah, the one that I rewrote was just I would hopefully never do it like this and would use like a switch statement, but I try to only use the things that what seemed like the restrictions that he had put in there.
1 sec. Can you if no step, if else. I'm shorter, but I don't. It might be wronger. I don't know.
I think there was like one thing that I was checking. Yeah, like here I was checking to make sure that there was a step, and then it was less than 0, and the same here.
Okay.
But it's the same pattern.
The one thing that I did change with my example was I gave step in a default value of 1.
Yeah, that's what I did.
And that just gets rid of one of the for loops to make that first for loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I ended up only had to have 2 for loops.
I think in the sandbox it's also just 2.
I forgot that. Oh, that's gonna make everything so much easier.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's that first one. I think mine looked very similar to that. Let's see, I can actually go back. Oh yeah, here's the first range that I wrote.
Range start in.
Super standard.
What is this? Did you get this from somewhere or did you write this out?
I wrote this. I actually did the exercises this time. Always do the exercises.
It's a lot.
There should be a range operator in JavaScript, and there's not.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to do your own. If you're using something like Lodash, I'm pretty sure that comes with a range. Or
Probably
most of those utility libraries. Yeah, redo this one. The ones later on have a lot more to them, and we need to get to that linked list.
Dude, can we even? Can we
Oh,
even?
oops! I used a map here for the sum.
Were you not allowed to, or did it not work?
Oh, it totally worked. I think they wanted a for loop though.
Eloquent JavaScript didn't tell you what to do. You live your life.
Thank you. Okay. Reversing an array. Let's see.
This one was fun. I think there's only a lot for the reverse in place. I actually wrote one while I was just sitting at work, and then I got home and I realized I had a different one written out from probably months ago that was completely different than what I did.
Really? Yeah, this one killed me. I had some terrible stuff written. I was like pushing and pulling and unshifting and popping. So bad. I think this is. Well, I think this is mostly after I looked at the answer. I tried to look away and redo it.
Yeah, mine looks basically exactly like that.
Yeah.
When I say basically,
Yeah,
I mean
if you just think of it as being a mirror image. You're going to replace the two ends and then swap the two next to the end and then the next two inside that. And
I thought it was kind of interesting that here, like, we have this piece of code that tail points to, but if you use tail here, you get the wrong answer, even though it's the same expression.
Oh, it flips it. Oh, what? Oh, yeah, it flips it.
See? Yeah, it has something to do with, I don't know.
It seems like tail starts to reference, like, whenever it goes to find tail, it's referencing the new array, the new. So after array I equals tail, and then it says, all right, so the array that we're referencing when we declare tail is the new array. That's what I would say myself too. JavaScript doesn't have to make sense.
Right. But I mean, this this definition here shouldn't affect tail at all.
Hey, yeah.
All I'm doing is setting.
The way it turns out, as a palindrome, seems like it is.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't know. I don't know why it's happening. That's just what it looks like.
I think it has something to do with when I do tail here, like, if I make that tail, basically, this is already, it's, oh, wait, what?
Tail equals temp.
Tail equals temp.
My brain just froze. Which side of the equal sign are we assigning? Because I just forgot how JavaScript works.
So this is where I'm putting the new thing on the end.
X equals 1. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So I'm taking the thing off the beginning and like this is the end of my array. I'm taking that thing from the beginning and setting it there.
Well, tail is referencing some other variable that's not physically in the array. That's what's happening. So when you say tail equals temp, it's changing some value way over here, and the actual array that we're returning is remaining unchanged. That's what's happening. Tail is a separate variable outside of the array. Like if you were to console log tail after if you change this last, if you change line 19 to say tail equals temp, and then to console log tail, then it would be whatever that temporary value was, but it's not altering the array.
Yeah, it's like I need to do some kind of like result of tail. Well, like I could do that. Like I could do I could do that, and that would probably still work. Yeah, that still works.
Yeah, because you have to mention that we're changing the array rather than just a variable. That's not the array.
You're right. I just have to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Think about it more.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I don't see when that's not working. Like,
Oh, okay.
as is. You know.
Do you get that? I mean,
Oh,
explain it one more
okay.
time, Alexa.
All right, so this will work just fine because we're changing the actual array. So on line 15, when we declare tail a variable, we have a variable tail and an array that we pass into the function as two completely different variables. So if we were to change line 19 to say tail equals temp, we're changing this tail variable, but the array is not being changed at all. When we have line 19 as is, then we are actually altering the
That's
array
right.
value.
That's right. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. We need to access this property, and all tails does is point to the property. It doesn't evaluate this.
Yeah, that's the more coding way to put it, the more computer sciencey way.
Yeah.
So tail isn't referencing the exact same piece of memory.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got why it was doing that. I just couldn't.
I just calculated mine on the fly
That's
every
fine.
time.
How are you doing it, Daniel?
I just
No, you're breaking up
I'll
again.
share my screen with you. And
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah. Can't break up with visuals.
so it's the second function right here. Can you see it?
Yeah, you're coming in kind of muffled though. Good. Let's see. Ooh. Yep, that's the same thing.
Right. So just a little bit fewer lines of code because I'm not storing. I just calculate it whenever I need it. So.
Oh, and you're just.
That,
So you're not returning anything. You're just altering it. Or
right.
Mutating that list.
Because that's the idea of reversing an array in place.
Right.
That's what it means to modify a copy of it. Because see up here, further up, I have the reverse array function, and I make a copy of it in reverse and return the reverse list. But the whole idea of reversing it in place is that it's
Yeah, it's just like a little.
Yeah, you can even see whenever.
It's little gremlins.
Right.
Gremlins.
Yeah, because the array is mutable, so you can change it. You don't have to make a copy and return it.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick. There's a paragraph before the actual exercise that says about side effects and pure functions, which is more useful and which is more efficient. Like what is happening? I didn't have an answer for that.
What was the question again?
All right, so there's a paragraph before the actual
About
example in the book says, thinking back to the notes and it's about side effects and pure functions in the previous chapter, which variant do you expect to be more useful in more situations and which is more efficient?
Well, this is also that.
Efficient.
Yeah. It's kind of also that two different kinds of functions, which I think that is a valuable way of looking at it. Like there's ones that you call for their side effects, and then there's one that you call for a return to get a value back.
Well, the in place one might be good if you're in a situation where memory is scarce.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Concepts in a language like C.
On the well, I'm not sure if maybe. No, I'll try.
No, C is designed to be very fast and efficient and all that low-level hardware memory access because it was designed in a time, and so you minimized the amount you used of it at any given time as much as possible.
Right.
That's why a lot of code for embedded devices is still written in
C.
Not C++, just plain C, because when you absolutely positively got to have all the memory you can grab, there's still nothing better.
Yeah.
In everyone's
believe you.
reverse array function, so just the normal reverse array, did you guys use the pop method?
I use push.
I didn't even use push or
Or
pop.
how did you?
I assigned indices like the C programmer I am.
Oh, yeah. I did it very
Push is
just count
definitely
it
Okay,
backwards.
interesting.
more
Okay.
idiomatic JavaScript.
Yeah. And this is also a really inexpensive as far as it's kind of the same thing. It's that kind of almost like bit shifting. It's really easy to just add things onto the end of a list.
In my reverse array function, I kind of destroyed the incoming to parameter array by using pop, and so I think that's why I had more of a question about which is more efficient and stuff, because in both cases my array got messed up pretty bad.
Oh, yeah.
I can see how not destroying the original array would preserve that array.
Oh,
Okay, that's probably why I had
So-
questions.
Yeah, I was.
So if you modify an array in place, is that a side effect?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's almost the definition.
Yeah, because you're not returning anything.
I was gonna say that's
Right.
like practically the definition of side effect right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you wouldn't even know, like, if you call that function and you're not logging anything, you could be silently mutating your data. That's why I'm of the.
Yeah.
I mean, my reaction to this is like, this seems this seems really bad.
Yeah. Well, like, what if somebody else was using your function? They would certainly need to know that, it's going to mangle whatever they send to it.
Yeah.
Right. That's why people, fans of functional
Can you say that again?
logically prove certain properties of a program, it's much harder to do with side effects. So.
As far as testing.
Well, not as far as.
I think you're breaking up, Danielle.
Okay.
Then it's harder to do because if you you don't know what the inputs are going to be. So.
Oh yeah. Well,
I know not to just completely detract, but in Ruby, if the functions that alter in place have a exclamation point at the end of them.
Ah.
That's
so you know,
smart.
so it's like a danger zone, right?
Okay.
So you'll have the same function like reverse. So array.reverse will just return a reversed array while leaving the original array, but array.reverse bang alters your original array.
Cool.
What a nice language. I gotta learn some more Ruby.
It is. It's beautiful.
Well, I didn't even finish this exercise.
No, we're never gonna get to this.
But I did enjoy doing my deep.
I've got a solution for this.
Let's show it.
Yeah, ready.
Get ready, and we'll swap over. Yeah, I didn't even try any of that. And I read it, but now I've forgotten what I had. I was getting really thrown off by the node.value. I don't know. I'm dumb.
Oh, I forgot that there were even hints at all.
Yeah.
Like I just completely blew up in my head and was just like, this is never gonna work.
Okay. Yeah. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I wrote this a while back, so I think I can remember what I did here. But the array to list function, I guess the main key to this is you've got to start at the end of the array. You want to push the end value of the array onto the list first, because you know that its next value is going to be null, right? Because it's the end. And then you just go through the for loop backwards. The next one you add, you set list equal the value, and the rest of it's equal to the old value of list. Right? And you just keep building it up that way. So you got this, they're all nested one inside the other.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I
Yep.
had a for loop where I was counting down like that. I could definitely.
I think that's the only trick to this is to start at the end of the array so you can get the null value on there first.
Yeah.
If you try to do it from the beginning, it's a little more complex.
That's a very like Russian doll function right there.
Yeah, exactly.
For some reason, I was thinking that it was meant to be recursive, and I have no idea why. Maybe that's a later function.
Oh, the int is.
Yeah, nth recurse. Okay, I was thinking that they all had to be recursive. Not that I was any closer to this solution either.
Yeah, I suppose this list stuff probably would lend itself to recursion, but I'm happy with just doing it this way.
Yeah. Okay,
the list to array, that's you just start out with an empty array, and then you start with a variable p, set it equal to list, and then while p, you push the value onto the array, then you set p equal to p rest.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Bump through the loop again, right? And then when you hit the end of the list, when rest is equal to null, then it'll end that while loop.
Nice.
Okay, then the nth. Okay, just the for loop version of nth. You just you just crank through the list until you get to the number you want, right? It's the same trick. You look at the value, and then you set your next value of list to list rest. Okay, so it cycles through them that way. The one thing is, like, if you got past a num that's bigger than the end of the list, you got to trap that. Right. So when you get to the last item in the list and you didn't find it, then return false. Otherwise, it just I don't know, it'd blow up.
Yeah, you can probably do break right there too.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could do break, and then it would return. Well, my value would just be undefined, I guess. Well, okay, no, it'd be set to something.
Yeah, it should be whatever.
Yeah. I mean, if it goes through the loop at least once, it's gonna set it to something.
Yeah. But
it's going to be the wrong something, right?
I think you could just return also.
Yeah, if you got all the way to the end of the list, it's going to give you a value, but that's not necessarily the right answer.
Did you compare that to the sandbox?
No, I didn't look at any of those.
That's very similar.
Okay, and then the nth recurse.
Oh, is that a different one?
Yeah, that one's just that's just iterative with a for loop, and then the recursive one. You start out with num equal 1. Oh no, well, let's see. You start out with num. It's not equal to 1. It's not null. So then you call nth recurse again with list rest and num -1, right? So it's gonna keep doing those calls until it gets down to num equals 1, right? And then return the value. That make sense?
Yeah.
So let's see. The other two things that can happen is if you get to the end of the list, it'll return false, right? Because it didn't find anything.
Okay.
And let's see, prepend list.
Oh, Alexa joined twice. Cool. Clones.
Yeah, that was my prestige moment right there.
You're gonna try calling that function with something? Oh, you need to list a number, huh?
Yeah, for which one? For prepend?
Or for the recursive int?
Oh yeah, I gotta. Let's see. There it is. Can run it. Where'd my console go? Oh, I ran the wrong one. That's sum range. It's this one. Okay, and we call nth recurse list and num equals 3, which would be bird, right? It's cat, dog, bird.
Cool.
Then if you call it with list equals 4, it returns false because it got to the end of the list, right?
Yeah, okay. Have you ever used anything like that?
For something practical, no.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Maybe I could, maybe going from an object to an array might be useful. If you're working, no, never mind. I could just think of
that would be, yeah.
Yeah.
Array to object doesn't make any sense because
But,
you need more values.
this is going from a list to an array. I've never had anywhere where I had to manipulate a linked list in a practical setting.
That's true. Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah, but I mean, the kind of stuff I do is like how am I going to apply this patch to 500 servers, or check for the same configuration, in 50 places, and it's just not. There's nothing recursive about any of that. It's just crank through a list and do the same thing, ever how many times. And,
yeah, I think we were, like you were saying, with the file system, and I think more try-like objects and traversing those. I think it will come up. It'll be useful. Do we want to talk about this deep comparison at all?
Yeah. Okay, I got one for that if you want to see it.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah, let's.
Okay.
I didn't try it. I didn't try anything. I copied one. This will do it, but I didn't write it.
Okay, here it is. Deep equal, and it turned out to not be that many lines of code, really. So let me think if I can talk through this. There's only two things that can happen. Like you pass it two objects and you want to compare it, and there's only two things that can happen. Is either they're both objects or they're not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they're both objects, the first thing you want to see, are they the same length? If they're not the same length, you might as well just give up, because they're not equal, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I did here.
Bail early.
First I'm going to assume that they're true, that they're equal, right? So I'm setting this var eq equals true, and then we'll set it false if they're not. So the first thing is, are they both objects and are they both not null?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If that's true, then check the length. Okay.
Get
set
out
EQ
of there.
equals set EQ equals false. Okay, then we're going to crank through every one of these and compare them.
Yep.
So we're going
That's
through
what I had
every
in mind,
key.
Yeah. Right. So you're going to call deep equal again. Right. That's where the recursive piece comes in. If they're not equal, then you're going to set EQ equals false, and then break. Okay. Let's see. The other thing that can happen is they're not objects; they're primitives, right? So if they're numbers or they're strings or they're something that's not an object, and then you just want to check, are they equal? Okay. If they're not equal, set EQ equals false, and then return EQ.
That's awesome. Are there any other edge cases you can think of?
Yeah. I put a bunch of edge cases in here. It's like okay, I tried the ones in the book, which is these, and those all worked. And then I thought, okay, what if it's just two arrays? So I set these up where it's two arrays that are not equal. They both have the same length, but they have different values. One array is 1, 2, and one array is 3, 4. Okay, and that came back false. And then I made two arrays that are the same. One array that has elements 1, 2, and another array that has elements 1, 2, and that comes back true. And I tried two numbers, and it worked for the numbers. 1 and 2 is false. 1 and 1 is true. Then I tried null and a number, and that's false. Null and null is true.
Really?
Yeah, not nan and nan is false because nan's
Nothing.
nan is not equal to anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the edge case where let's say, I don't know how else to put it, like the end of the tree is a different type of primitive, because I don't think it will enter into the third if loop on line 6. You need to say those aren't full-blown objects, and it would skip out. All right, or does it go to the else if? Okay. Wow. This is okay.
Yeah, because it wouldn't have any
if
keys.
right. If they have to both be objects, right? If one of them was an object and one of them is a primitive, then it's going to go to the else if.
Oh, okay. So this for loop. Okay, so I don't think it would, because it needs to get to this for loop to actually. How about this? Let's just check out. I don't know if I'm thinking this right. On line 21, change where it says that's object 2. So object number 2, it's at the very end of the line, to object number 3. And that way, object 1 will have that last little leaflet as a 2, and this second compared object will have a 3 there.
You talking about right here?
Yes, yeah. Oh, that comes out false anyway? Okay, let's not do that one. Let's do the one that comes out true. My apologies, on line 23.
Okay.
So do that same idea on line 23, yeah.
Okay, change this to a 3, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right, well,
Let's see if it comes out.
Yeah, let me comment out this other stuff, or else we're going to see tons of...
We can get a lot of stuff, yeah.
I would like to see just 2 strings after this.
Okay. Okay, let's see which is the one. I'm going to comment out this other stuff too, so we don't get confused.
Leave object 1 uncommented, because it's part of the pairs.
Oh, we're using that. Okay, okay. Well, I won't change that.
I'm coming out 23.
Right? So just
like
this
that.
one.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see what we got.
And this is deep equal. False.
That's what we expected.
Nice. It does work. Good job. I like that.
If you change that to 2, it should be true.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was.
Because it's actually checking basically like what's contained within that object.
Yeah, I mean, when it gets down to what's in that object, it's looking here in the else if, right? Because those are primitives.
Right.
So you wanted to see 2 strings?
Yeah, they should be true because they're the exact same thing.
Yeah, it should work. Let's try that.
Oh, it's recursive. Oh my goodness. My mind has been soup since I tried that whatever that weird one was.
Okay, so there's 2 strings that are not equal.
Is it going to blow up for that?
Let me
That
get rid of this.
single quote.
Oh yeah, it would. There.
So we expect false.
What did I do? Oh.
I just missed the
Yeah.
parentheses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, one more parenthesis. Yeah. Right.
Okay, false. Now, let me change those to be the same. My screen's starting to freeze here.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, there's string 1 versus string 1. Is true.
Nice.
Cool. So it's not even really checking anything. It's just returning.
Yeah,
What's
it sets EQ to true at the beginning and it doesn't enter any of those loops or
Yeah,
conditionals.
it's just going straight to here.
Just doing the.
Well, I think it's a success.
Now, if those were arrays instead of strings, it would go through. It would go into the recursive part.
Right. Cool. Okay. That's awesome, Jay. That's a handy function too. I would definitely keep that around.
Yeah, I will.
I don't even know where I found this one. But pretty similar.
Nice. It's just throws all the conditionals in the one big line and calls it a day.
Yeah.
I don't know how to unshare my screen.
Oh, I think if I just
How
click.
do I switch it back to the camera?
Should be under that
You just-
screen share.
You just click screen share again?
Oops.
How'd you do it, Dan?
I did it. I just clicked screen share again.
There you go.
Hooray.
Well, I'm gonna sit around for the next. I'm not gonna. I lied. I'm not gonna do it. But I'm gonna have to look into those two functions, the deep equals and the one before it, whatever it was.
Yeah, there's also I think like Flowdash has a couple different compare functions.
Done. That's all I needed to hear.
I'm just,
That and that it's not super duper useful. That's all I needed to hear for the night. That was.
yeah, matching. So, tell you, 4 or 5 years from now, gonna be so awesome. Just gonna be drag and drop programming.
Absolutely.
They're gonna be programming everything in Photoshop, and it's not gonna get past that. All right. Well,
There's actually. Have you seen the MIT little programming, Android app programming? MIT has a little. I have to look that up. It's interesting. It's just literally just drag and drop programming.
Oh, cool.
Is that language Alice or whatever, or is that something else?
That's something else.
Okay.
Maybe. I know that's not what I know it by. Go ahead.
Did you see that new Swift? There's that like Swift playground that Apple just released. It's kind of like that, but it's for teaching kids and like puzzle piece. Like you have a puzzle piece and you like drop that in and then have all your if this
exactly
then
like
that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly like that.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, especially if you don't feel like thinking about programming, you just want to like play with the pretty colors, you know.
I always want to do that. Cool. I'm about to pass out, I think. You guys.
Nice.
Any final words?
Good luck. Just, you might want to spend 2 weeks on chapter 5, so just take your
I'm gonna
time.
start like tomorrow.
Yeah. It's not the end of the world if you don't get it the first time. I'm only talking to myself here, even though I've already gone through chapter 5
Yeah.
3 times.
Well, it's just a different subject, but I wondered if any of you guys were going to go to the Johnny 5 session on Sunday.
I was planning on it. Yeah, I've already RSVP'd.
Yeah.
Once I'm
Yeah,
done.
I'm going to try to go to it. I may have a family commitment, but I'm going to try to get there. I've started working on it, like just doing the examples from from the Johnny 5.io website.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that'll be fun. It's basically.
anyways, I thought it was something else this group could collaborate on. If you guys have some interest in it. So.
Yeah, I think actual projects. Yeah, I'm pretty open to that. And I have a couple photons too. And I actually just ordered an internet button off of Adafruit today. So I might build that on if it comes in time. I might build that on Sunday.
Yeah, I want to get a Tesla. I don't have one. I'm just having to use my Arduino, with it connected to a PC. But I figured out what is the difference, and the ones that can run Johnny 5 natively are the boards that run Linux, right? So if it's like a BeagleBone or Tesla or Raspberry Pi or any of those where it's got a Linux operating system,
Yeah, because then you can install Node.
Right, you can install Node and run it on the board. But if it's like if it's Arduino or a clone, you can't do that. So you just have to tether it somehow, either Wi-Fi or serial port.
I wonder if you could put a container on. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be limited on the resources.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if you had enough memory and processing, you could do it. But.
Yeah, those Teslas are cool. I think I pre-ordered one about a year ago, and I was supposed to get it in September, when they first said they were going to get shipped, and then they were like, November, it'll be in there in November, and I think I got it a month ago. So, but I did get it, and I got an IR blaster with it too. So, and it runs Node just out of the box.
Yeah.
They dropped Python support for it apparently. It just wasn't popular.
Yeah.
You probably could still do it though. I mean, if you wanted to, you could put in some work on your own because I mean it's a full-blown operating system on there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if you could, it would just be a matter of getting the package installed.
Is it running Linux?
Yeah. Yeah. It runs a Linux derivative called OpenWRT.
Oh okay.
Yeah. But there's like a huge list of packages that'll run on it, and there's probably a Python you could install if you wanted to.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't. I think my BeagleBorn or my BeagleBoard, BeagleBone Black. I put Debian on there, I think, which just like killed it. I couldn't use it anymore. It came with Angstrom, but yeah, I'll be there on Sunday. Trying to do stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make it, but I'll either be doing that or I'll be doing the family thing. Remains to be seen.
And I'm guessing David will be there since.
Yeah, it's kind of his event.
Yeah, he's the master of ceremonies.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. Danielle,
What's up?
you
I
gonna
need
be
to
there?
get a lamp.
Oh, you need to get a lamp.
You do need a
Right,
lamp.
that's
I have one.
very, very dim. So
I can actually be really well lit if I want to be.
That's high contrast.
Yeah,
right
you're overexposed now, man.
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
also if
Oh, this is cool.
if I get lazy, I can do like the whole, the World War II thing or the Styx album if you want to go that route. But
Oh wow. Okay.
I think it's past my bedtime.
Yes.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's gonna get weird soon. Wait, I want to show you my light real fast. My roommate gave me this hue bulb. I wonder if this will show up at all. Let's see.
Oh.
Can you see
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Ooh,
Fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's scary a little bit.
Oh, there's like a lot of latency for some reason. You got this nice blue one.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. Whoa.
How are you changing? Is it with code or just?
It's like a phone app.
Oh my goodness
okay.
gracious.
Oops. Yeah, it's just like Jeez.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, you can't see it.
I
Well, you
can
put-
tell what's happening.
you just touch it in different places and the light changes.
That actually is pretty cool. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that's neat.
It was like $40 or something.
Good stuff.
Cool.
All right. Well,
All right.
good night, everybody.
Yeah. Good
Yeah,
night.
That was fun JavaScripting,
Yeah. Lots of
as
fun.
always.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Right.
And this will be on YouTube pretty soon. Oh, one last thing. If there's any, I kind of want to start like accumulating a list of some of the topics and stuff that we talk about, just to post them on the YouTube site. So if there's anything that that y'all think are pertinent to what we talked about, just if you want, you can send them to me and I'll post them on there. That's all. Just to be a little more
Great.
like official.
Sounds good.
All right. Good night, guys.
All right.
night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.